Hello, lovely people. I'm Sinead, and welcome. I hope to finish up the chair today, and then maybe, it's a mess down there, so I'm not 100% hopeful, we can get down on the bottom floor and put the desk and the chair in and kind of show what that's going to look like. Maybe we can find a doll to take along and set her up in there, preferably a doll with a head. Although, we can work without the head. Anyway, let's go over the desk and get started on that project. I had to redo some of the bits on this. The arms, just gluing them in place, they weren't sturdy. And in fact, were really easily knocked off. So I thought, well, if I just drill a little bit up in here and down into there, that'd work. And it did on this side. This side is fairly sturdy. But it didn't on this side. Again, it just kind of knocked off. So I went ahead and drilled in at an angle and actually kind of let it pop out the bottom. Not all the way, I mean, it did come through, but I didn't worry about cleaning up and having it a clear hole. I just wanted to make sure it went far enough in to get a good purchase. Because the other thing that happened is, because this is like Douglas fir, it has hard spots and soft spots, and as I was drilling, the drill bit caught a soft spot and actually jerked off to the side the first time, so I didn't have enough purchase in the first shallow drill. So when I went back to do it again, I went in at an angle and then all the way through so that I had more purchase area, and then had to, of course, cut this again to be longer so that it would match and not be sitting down lower than the other side. I also measured, use those tools, huh? I measured up to where this one was sitting, and then used that measurement to make sure that this was starting out at least at the right height. So those were the changes to make this work better. And then I also had a lot of sanding to do here where there was a lot of glue, and I think my sandpaper ran into the legs, so maybe that should have been done before I glued the legs on. But it is now ready, so as soon as the paint is dry, I'm gonna start the assembly. Okay, our paint is dry on these pieces. We still don't have any shellac on the wood, because I decided that since the paper clay here also needed to be shellacked, and we have such a limited amount, I thought we would just hit them all at the same time and hope that I have enough to make it through, because I don't have any more alcohol to make more. We did find shellac buttons, which is, that's important. We did find some stashed away. Just gonna get some alcohol, which I'm not sure if our local what do you call that? Lumber supply has the alcohol. I think they do. We'll have to check in on that. Trying not to put too much glue, but enough. Which, that's what you're always doing. You're trying to put just enough. Okay. And we're having a little dyslexic moment where we can't remember which way we were going to put this on here. Centered above the line. Wow, we're a little, it's moving. Hold that in place. Yeah, it shifted. It actually squidged over after I let it go. I don't know, I might have to get a sponge and a weight. The sponge to kind of protect the paper clay paint job, whole thing. And just trying to remember how I wanted to do these. Was it this way? Or was it that way? I think it's this way. We definitely are going to have to put weight on this. It's popping back up and squidging around. squidging. It's like a pigeon. The shellac has dried, and I'm loving the way that that piece up here looks. I hope you can see the detail there. So it's time to glue on the cushions. Let's see, which cushion was which? Well, they look about the same, so I'm gonna glue this one in second, I believe. Seat first. So set it up. I was informed that the seat goes in for it first. And then I thought about it and I was like, wow, wouldn't you know it? They're right. So I'm actually trying to get the glue out here as well as in the center. And I'm not even 100% certain that the glue in the center is even going to touch make contact with the wood, especially with as bulky as some of this fabric has turned out to be. So fingers crossed that this works. And I got a bunch of paper projects, let's get that right, paper projects that I had printed out and hadn't done this weekend, waiting between coats of shellac and glue drying. Okay. Put it all the way back in there. Oh boy. Trying not to just drop it in place and get glue everywhere. What did I do? I think I just dropped it in place. Now the best thing to do would be to put weight on this and give it a few. I told you about the change in the way that went together, and it is, yeah, so much nicer. I suppose a clamp would be a viable option to put here. But I wouldn't want to put the clamp directly on to the fabric because it is likely to develop a imprint of, like, even this would leave a mark. So I just grabbed up the same foam that I used for the cushion and put it between. While we're waiting on the glue to set up, this is one of the paper projects that I did. Yeah, words, some days they just don't work. Anyway, it's I want to say, you know, it inspired by an antique lunchbox that would have been hinged, would have been made out of tin, and it would have been hinged. And I have been trying to decide where the lid needs to sit for a hinge to work, because it can't be all the way off, but yeah. So yeah, I'm thinking about adding a hinge there, which would mean printing out more of the, well, just print the project out again and using it, because I don't think I kept any of the scrap. Wasn't really thinking about the hinge at the time. Or I could just glue on a hinge, an actual hinge, would be an option. But it looks to me, because I didn't just print this out on cardstock, and I added the chipboard to it to make it sturdier. And as a result of that, my tabs are showing right here just a little bit in here. And one way to clean that up would be to add a little line of paint just along the edge of the top and bottom. And it would also cover up the cut edges. I also finally, so you remember how I didn't do the scrapbook project because my book was full. I made another book and have started that. So it looks really like I didn't put enough pages in there, but by the time you get to the end of by the time we make it to the end of the season with this, it's the Grace Marie Fitzpatrick Virtual Doll Convention subscription. By the time we make it to the end, I will have filled it and all the pages will be expanded because of gluing pieces on there. There's actually one more page in this book than there is in this book, just because of how the folding went. Also, didn't do end pieces so much in this one than I did in this one. And I like this. I like the end sheets stuck in there. And this is just accordion folded paper glued together so that it forms pages. Pretty basic. In fact, if you follow my video on putting together the books that I have for sale, it's the same construction method. And I put together this project, and all of these are virtual doll convention, and they are all from the Grace Club subscription, the printables. I put together the sewing box, and I lined it as well. I'm not really happy with the flaps being white, but I didn't have enough, so I don't know. I might figure out something different to go on these flaps just so they aren't white, but I liked the other part, and the sewing stuff is actually removable so that you could put something else in the box, but it's a cool looking little box. And the front flap is supposed to go in. I don't know what the side flaps are supposed to do. Maybe I should fold them further in and then they'd go in as well, because they just don't sit right like that. Anyway, that needs some more work, but there it is. And I'll bet that our glue is set up enough. And we're going to flip the chair and glue the second one. I hope all of this has made enough sense to you that if it's something you want to try, you can see just how easy it really is. The leave the arms off if that's too complicated. In fact, that was the hard part of this chair. Just putting them back and seat together was really easy. And then adding cushions, super easy. Because you're just wrapping fabric around a piece of chipboard, cardboard, or heck, I think you could even use cardstock. It would bend, obviously, and it would not have the rigidity, but it would work to give you something to press against to glue to the piece of wood, or if you were using piece of cardboard, whatever it is you use to build your chair. Getting a little awkward here so that I don't stick my fingers in the glue. But it's just really simple, and I gotta admit that it has been holding me up for getting this project done, as I kept thinking it was going to be harder. Okay. Try and get it centered. Perfect. stick my piece of foam. Well, I'm going to start by pressing it down with my hands. Then put the weight on it. Well, I am delighted with how this chair and the table work down here, the desk table work down here. I do need to make the smaller version of the typewriter because that's just kind of overwhelming the desk. And she has far too many books. And I don't know if you can see, but that is a compass. And she has a telescope and a magnifying lens. I think she might be a little bit of an adventurer. I'd say that she is definitely an adventurer. Being over 100 years old, she's seen a lot. Even if it was just the inside of a drawer, she's seen a lot. Every time that drawer opens, you see something, right? Anyway, I am definitely going to need all the space down here for her because that is way too cramped. And Jane and Jody are still down here, and Weston. So we need to get on those upper floors and get that done so that we can have the space appropriate down here to the size of doll that belongs down here. And good news, the paint on Della is looking wonderful, and it's probably got another week to be dried, and then I can assemble her and she can be in this space. So yeah, definitely need to get on the upper floors and get those done so that Jane and Jody can move up there. And I hope you're enjoying this journey as we fill in the rest of the accessories, finish off the floors. And I do plan on getting back over to the Cindy house and putting another cardboard floor in so that we have another living room over there and maybe another room. Don't know exactly what that other room is going to be yet, but I could just make it all one big living room, but I'm not entirely sure I want to do that. So hang around, subscribe to the channel so that you can see what's coming up. Also, if you want to help me out or help yourself out, go over to my shop and look at the patterns there. I might have something to help you clothe your real Pookies, Pookies, and any other dolls that size, as well as the Pookie Fees and some of the Charles Creature Cabinet dolls. A lot of patterns to look at, and make your own dolls too. Have a delightful day and a wonderful week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.